How did America become the richest and most powerful nation on Earth? Was it just luck, or was it a carefully crafted plan? The story you're about to hear is not something you'll find in most history books. It's the story of a secret deal, a masterstroke of economic genius that reshaped the world and put America at the very top. Our journey begins in the ashes of World War II, while Europe and Asia lay in ruins, their industries decimated and their economies shattered. The United States stood untouched. Its factories were running at full capacity, its infrastructure was intact, and it held most of the world's gold. America was in a unique position of power, and it was ready to use it. In 1944, as the war was nearing its end, leaders from 44 Allied nations gathered in a small town in New Hampshire called Bretton Woods. On the surface, they were there to create a new, stable, international economic system. But beneath the surface, America was executing a brilliant plan. This meeting would give birth to the Bretton Woods Agreement, the secret deal that would change the course of history. Before this, the world's financial system was based on the gold standard. A country's currency was directly tied to a specific amount of gold. This was stable, but it was also restrictive. America had a different idea. At Bretton Woods, the US made a proposition that was too good to refuse. Convinced the other nations to peg their currencies not to gold, but to the US dollar. In return, the United States promised that the dollar itself would be convertible to gold at a fixed rate of $35 per ounce. For countries devastated by war, this offered stability and a reliable way to rebuild. They agreed. And just like that, the US dollar became the world's reserve currency. This single decision was the cornerstone of American economic dominance. Suddenly, every country in the world needed to hold US dollars to conduct international trade. The dollar became, in effect, more valuable and more practical than gold itself. With the dollar at the center of the global economy, America gained unprecedented control. To manage this new system, two powerful institutions were created: the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, and the World Bank. Both were headquartered in Washington, D.C., and both were heavily influenced by the United States. Through these organizations, America could lend money to other countries, but these loans often came with strings-attached policies that opened up foreign markets to American goods and corporations. This was the first layer of control, but the real masterstroke was yet to come. It involved the one resource that every modern economy needs to survive: oil. In the decades following World War II, the world became increasingly dependent on oil, and a handful of Middle Eastern countries controlled the largest reserves. The US government and its powerful financial institutions made a series of agreements with these oil-rich nations, most notably Saudi Arabia. The deal was simple, but incredibly effective. These countries would agree to sell their oil exclusively in US dollars. In exchange, the United States would provide them with military protection and political support. This created what we now know as the petrodollar system. Think about what this meant. Any country, anywhere in the world that wanted to buy oil now had to first acquire US dollars. It didn't matter if Germany wanted to buy oil from Saudi Arabia or Japan wanted to buy oil from Kuwait. The transaction had to be in dollars. This created a massive, constant, global demand for American currency. The United States had essentially tied the world's energy supply to its own currency. This is where America's wealth machine kicked into high gear. The Federal Reserve, America's central bank, could now print dollars, which are essentially pieces of paper. And the rest of the world would hand over real, tangible goods and resources in exchange for them. Cars from Germany, electronics from Japan, clothes from China, bought with money that the US could create out of thin air. But how could America ensure that no one would challenge this incredibly advantageous system? This is where its military might came into play. The US established a network of military bases around the globe, particularly along key shipping lanes and in strategically important regions. This massive military presence wasn't just for defense. It was the muscle that protected the dollar-centric financial system. It was a clear message to the world. The dollar is protected by the most powerful military in history. Any nation that thought about abandoning the dollar or creating a rival system would have to think twice. The Cold War with the Soviet Union also played a crucial role in cementing America's power. As the leader of the free world, the U.S. presented itself as the protector against communism. This allowed America to forge strong alliances and expand its economic and military influence. The Marshall Plan is a perfect example. The U.S. poured billions of dollars into rebuilding Western Europe after the war. This was portrayed as an act of generosity, and in many ways it was. But it was also a strategic investment. It prevented these countries from falling under Soviet influence, and more importantly, it tied their economies to the United States for decades to come. Europe became a massive market for American goods and a key partner in the dollar-based system. With the financial and military framework in place, American corporations began their global expansion. Companies like Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Ford, and IBM became household names around the world. Supported by a powerful dollar and a government that opened doors for them, these corporations spread American products, culture, and business practices to every corner of the planet. Hollywood movies, American music, and new technologies like the personal computer and the internet further solidified America's cultural and technological dominance. The world didn't just use American dollars. It started to look, sound, and think a little more American. The secret deal at Bretton Woods had made the U.S. the undisputed center of global banking, trade, and investment. Of course, not every country was happy with this arrangement. Throughout the years, some nations tried to break free from the dollar's grip. Leaders who challenged the petrodollar system or attempted to create alternative payment methods often found themselves facing severe consequences. These could range from economic sanctions that crippled their economies to political isolation and, in some cases, military intervention. The message was clear. Playing by America's rules was not optional. The system was designed to be self-perpetuating, and any threat to it would be neutralized. Then, in 1971, something happened that should have shattered the whole system. President Richard Nixon made a shocking announcement. The U.S. would no longer convert its dollars to gold. This was a direct violation of the original Bretton Woods promise. Many thought this would be the end of the dollar's reign, but they were wrong. By this point, the world was so deeply enmeshed in the dollar system, so dependent on it for trade and energy, that there was no turning back. The dollar was now a fiat currency, backed by nothing but the full faith and credit of the United States and its military. Instead of collapsing, the dollar's power actually increased. The U.S. was now completely untethered, free to print as much money as it needed without worrying about its gold reserves. So here we are today. The Bretton Woods Agreement is officially a thing of the past, but its legacy is the world we live in. The United States still prints the currency that the entire world needs to trade, to buy energy, and to store wealth. This creates a constant flow of value from the rest of the world into the United States, allowing it to sustain huge trade deficits and a national debt that would crush any other nation. This hidden financial loop, born from a secret deal made over 75 years ago, is the fundamental reason why America remains the wealthiest and most powerful nation on Earth. It wasn't an accident, it was a plan. Brilliant, ruthless, and incredibly successful plan that continues to shape our world to this very day. Thanks for watching. If you found this look into the secret history of the U.S. economy fascinating, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the stories that shape our world. We'll see you in the next one.